It happens to almost everyone. You wake up, you do the same thing, you go to work. You do the same tasks day after day, week after week, and you think, is this it? Is this all there is? Maybe you dream of something more exciting. Maybe you wonder if you're wasting your life. You look around at other people. Their jobs seem interesting. They talk about passion and purpose. Your job feels like a giant snooze button. Maybe your job is repetitive. You do the same thing over and over. Maybe it's not challenging. You could do it in your sleep. Maybe it feels meaningless. You don't see how your work helps anyone. You just push papers, or you type data, or you pack boxes, or you answer phones. It just feels boring. Really, really boring. And if you're a person of faith, a Christian, this feeling can come with guilt. You hear about serving God, you hear about living on mission, you hear about using your gifts for his glory. And you think, how can I glorify God changing oil filters? How can I glorify God filing documents? How can I glorify God making the same widget for 8 hours a day? It doesn't feel very glorious. It feels like a chore. It feels like a burden. It's okay to admit your job is boring. God knows it is. He knows what work is like in this world. He created work, and work was good. Back in the very beginning in the Garden of Eden, God gave Adam a job. Adam was to work the garden. He was to keep it. This was before sin entered the world. Work then was a joy. It was fulfilling. It was part of worship. It was part of God's good plan. But then came the fall. Sin messed everything up. And because of sin, God told Adam that work would be hard. The ground would be cursed. He would have to toil and sweat for his food. Work would often be frustrating. It would be difficult. It would feel like a burden. And yes, sometimes it would be boring. That's just the reality of living in a broken world. We often forget that part of the story. We expect work to always be wonderful, but the Bible tells us it won't be. So when your job feels boring, you're not alone. You're not being unspiritual, you're just experiencing one of the side effects of living in a fallen world. It's part of the human condition, and God understands this. He doesn't expect you to feel ecstatic about every moment of your work. But here's the thing, even in the boring, even in the mundane, even in the repetitive, God still calls us to glorify him. He calls us to live for him in every part of our lives. That includes our jobs, even the boring ones. Think about Jesus for a moment. He was God in the flesh. He had a job before his public ministry. He was a carpenter. Now, we don't have a lot of details about that, but imagine the work of a carpenter in those days. It would involve a lot of cutting, planing, fitting. It would be dusty. It would be repetitive. It would be hard physical labor. Did Jesus glorify God in the carpentry shop? Of course he did. He lived a perfect, sinless life. Every nail he hammered, every piece of wood he shaped was done perfectly, with integrity, with diligence. He showed us that even ordinary work can be done for God. Think about the Apostle Paul. He traveled the world sharing the good news of Jesus, but he also had a trade. Now, he was a tent maker. He worked with his hands to support himself. This wasn't just a hobby. It was his livelihood. He said he didn't want to be a burden to anyone, so he worked hard. He made tents. This allowed him to preach the gospel without needing money from others all the time. His everyday work, making tents, directly enabled his ministry. It might have been dirty work. It might have been tedious, but it was essential, and Paul did it to the glory of God. The Bible is full of people who served God in what we might call secular jobs. And Joseph served as a manager in Potiphar's house, then as a prime minister in Egypt. And Daniel served as a government official in Babylon and Persia. Nehemiah was a cupbearer to the king. These weren't spiritual jobs in the way we often think. They were government roles. They were positions of influence. And these men glorified God right where they were in difficult, often pagan environments. They showed integrity, they showed wisdom, they showed faithfulness, they did their work to God's glory. So, the first step is to change your thinking. Your job isn't just about the tasks you perform. It's not just about the paycheck you get, it's about who you are working for. The Bible tells us in Colossians chapter 3, verse 23, 24, "Whatever you do, work at it with all your heart, as working for the Lord, not for human masters, since you know that you will receive an inheritance from the Lord as a reward. It is the Lord Christ you are serving." Read that again. Whatever you do. Not whatever exciting, fulfilling, ministry-focused thing you do. No, whatever you do. That includes sorting mail, that includes cleaning floors, that includes running reports, that includes answering the phone for the 100th time. It means doing it with all your heart, as if you are working for Jesus himself. Not for your boss, not for the company, not for the customers, but for the Lord Christ. This changes everything. When you see your job through this lens, it's not just a boring task anymore. It becomes an act of worship. It becomes an offering to God. God put you in that job, even if you don't like it, even if it feels like a dead end. there might be a reason. Maybe he wants to teach you patience. Maybe he wants to teach you humility. Maybe he wants to develop perseverance in you. Maybe he wants you to be a light to someone who works there. Maybe he wants you to provide for your family through this work. All these things glorify him. Think about it this way. Your job, even a boring one, is a platform. It's a stage. And you are an ambassador for Christ on that stage. Every interaction, every task, every moment is an opportunity to reflect his character. So how do we actually do this? How do we take that big idea of working for the Lord and make it real in the day-to-day grind? First, strive for excellence. Do your best work, no matter how small or insignificant the task seems. Do it for God. He sees your effort. He cares about the quality of your work, even if your boss doesn't. If you're pushing a broom, push it well. If you're typing data, type it accurately. If you're answering calls, answer them politely and helpfully. This isn't about impressing people. This is about honoring God. When you do your work with care and attention to detail, even when it's boring, you are saying, my God deserves my best, even in this. That shows integrity, it shows diligence, it shows faithfulness. Second, your attitude matters a lot. This is tough, especially when the job is boring, but your attitude can speak volumes. Instead of complaining, try to be grateful. Be thankful you have a job. Be thankful for the steady income. Be thankful for your health that allows you to work. Many people don't have these things. A grateful heart, even in a dull situation, glorifies God. It shows that your joy doesn't come from your circumstances, but from Him. Can you find joy in your work? Not fake, bubbly happiness, but a deep-seated joy that comes from knowing Christ. That joy can shine through. It can make you different from everyone else who is dragging their feet and grumbling. When you face repetitive tasks or difficult people with patience, that glorifies God. When you choose humility, being willing to do menial tasks without complaining, that glorifies God. Third, your character at work is a powerful witness. Think about integrity. Don't cut corners. Don't steal time. Don't use company resources for personal gain. Be honest in all your dealings. If you say you'll do something, do it. This shows integrity. It shows that you value truth and honesty because God is true and honest. Be diligent. Show up on time. Work hard. Don't be lazy. Don't spend your work hours messing around on your phone or gossiping. Use your time well. That is good stewardship of the time God has given you. It also shows respect for your employer and ultimately respect for God. Be faithful. Be reliable. If you commit to something, follow through. Your word should mean something. People should know they can count on you. This reflects the faithfulness of God. And maybe most importantly, show kindness and love to your coworkers, even the difficult ones. Even the ones who get on your nerves. Be a peacemaker, listen to people, offer to help when you see someone struggling. Pray for them. You might be the only Jesus some people ever see. Your actions, your words, your patience, your empathy can be a powerful witness. You don't have to preach a sermon. Just live out the love of Christ. When you treat others with respect and compassion, even in a frustrating environment, you are showing them a glimpse of God's love. Fourth, prayer is huge. You can pray for your job, pray for your coworkers, pray for your boss, pray for your company. Ask God to bless their efforts. Ask Him to help them succeed. This shows you care, and it puts your trust in Him, not just in your own efforts. You can also pray in your job. Throughout the day, send up short prayers. God, give me patience. Lord, help me focus. Father, show me how to be a light here. Jesus, help me to do this task well for your glory. These small, frequent prayers keep your mind centered on God, even when your hands are doing something boring. It turns your work into a living conversation with God. It makes the mundane sacred. Fifth, consider your financial stewardship. Your paycheck, even if it comes from a boring job, is a gift from God. How you use it glorifies Him. Tithe. Give generously to your church and other ministries. Save responsibly. Provide for your family's needs. Avoid debt. When you manage your money wisely according to biblical principles, you are showing that God owns everything and you are His steward. This podcast of great players, but I just don't see Him coming out. Your boring job might be the means by which God is funding His kingdom work through your giving. That's not boring at all. Now, let's be real. It won't be easy. The feelings of boredom or frustration might not disappear overnight, or even ever. This is a constant choice. It's a spiritual discipline. You have to keep reminding yourself who you are working for. You might feel a tension. You might feel like you have other gifts. You might feel like God is calling you to something more. And that's a valid feeling. It's good to dream. It's good to seek God's will for your life. But even while you are in this boring job, you are still called to glorify Him. Don't wait for the perfect job to start living for God. Live for Him right where you are, right now. Think of it like this. Your boring job might be a training ground. God uses all sorts of situations to shape us. And maybe he's teaching you patience. Maybe he's teaching you perseverance. Maybe he's teaching you faithfulness in the small things so he can trust you with bigger things later. Luke chapter 16, verse 10 says, "Whoever can be trusted with very little can also be trusted with much." If you can glorify God in a boring job, imagine what you can do in one that feels more aligned with your passions. It's also important to nourish your spirit outside of work. Make sure you are reading your Bible, praying, and engaging in Christian community. These spiritual disciplines are vital. They fill you up. They give you the strength and perspective you need to face the boring parts of your job with a godly attitude. You can't pour from an empty cup. If you are spiritually drained, it will be much harder to glorify God in any job, let alone a boring one. Sometimes people wonder if they should stay in a boring job. Is it always God's will to stick it out? Not necessarily. God sometimes does call people to new places, new roles, new careers. But the decision to leave should be bathed in prayer and wise counsel, not just motivated by frustration or boredom. Don't jump ship just because you're tired of it. Ask God what he wants you to learn there. Ask him if he wants you to stay and be a light, or if he is opening a door for something new. Seek his guidance. And even if you are actively looking for a new job, glorify God in the job you have now. Don't slack off. Don't complain more. Finish strong. Show your integrity even as you plan your exit. How you leave a job also speaks volumes about your character and your faith. Don't despise the small beginnings. Don't look down on the mundane. God often uses ordinary things and ordinary people to do extraordinary things. He worked through a shepherd boy named David. He worked through fishermen. He worked through a carpenter. He can work through you in your boring job. Your worth is not tied to your job title. It's not tied to how exciting your work is. Your worth is tied to Christ. You are a child of God. You are loved, you are redeemed, and because of that, every moment of your life, including your work, can be offered back to him as an act of worship. And God sees you. He sees you at your desk. He sees you on the factory floor. He sees you on the service call. He sees your heart. He sees your effort, even in the smallest, most repetitive tasks. He knows it's boring. He knows it's hard sometimes. But he also knows that you are choosing to honor him, even there. So, the next time you feel that wave of boredom wash over you at work, remember this. You are not just pushing papers or moving boxes, you are serving the Lord Christ. You are living out your faith, you are being a light, you are reflecting his character. You are part of something much bigger than yourself. Every single moment, every single task, no matter how small or mundane, can be offered to him. And that in itself is a truly glorious thing.